Welcome back to the Pageant Gal podcast. My gals, we are in for a treat today because imagine if you could see into the conversation of two pageant enthusiasts, what we talk about, the raw, unfiltered truths of the industry when it comes to being a competitor, a title holder, a business owner, everything in between. That is what we're bringing to you in today's episode because we've got one of my great gal friends, my good Judy. Elizabeth Marnoch. Elizabeth, for those who do not know, I mean, we're going to go into her whole story today. She has done everything in the pageant industry at such, I would say, like a young age. I mean, we're starting to be into our adulthood, but from competing nationally, internationally, Liz is also a professional hair and makeup artist, which, oh my gosh, if you know in Canada, that's not easy to come by. And Liz also runs her own national pageant, the Canadian National Miss Pageant. So, what better person to have on the Pageant Gal podcast to end 2025, talk a little bit about the year, what we see for 2026, and just everything in between. So, without further ado, Liz, say hi and introduce yourself.
Hello, thank you so much, Maria. I'm so excited to be here. As she mentioned, my name is Elizabeth Marnoch. I am from Toronto, Ontario now, and I've been a part of the pageant industry for over 15 years with many different hats, like Maria mentioned. So I'm excited to discuss. Me and Maria always have a good time chatting all things pageant, so it should be fun.
Right? I was trying to think too. I'm like, when was the first time that we connected? I know it was on social media and I know it was in the pandemic, but the first time that we met in person, Liz and I literally messaged each other. I think I posted something on a story or you did, and Liz was from my area. And we're like, yeah, let's get together. Let's go to a coffee shop and let's practice interview. And that's literally what we did the first time that we met. We did mock interviews together, like never met each other, only knew each
Yep.
other online. So, I mean, when people wonder, like, where do you find, pageant people and how to practice. It starts like that. And then we've always had like some crazy adventures ever since. But when you said you started pageants 15 years ago, what got you into it? Because I don't think I know your first pageant.
So I did the Miss All Canadian pageants when I was younger, when I was around 9, 10 years old. And so I got into them just by looking it up online. I saw pageants on TV, and I am one person that has tried just about every hobby under the face of the sun, if you know me well. And pageants was the one that stuck. And it was just something that I really enjoyed. It kind of captured my heart, and then from there on it kept going on and on, and I love to have seen the growth in the Canadian pageant community since along all these years. And yeah, I'm glad to have been a part of it because it's very interesting to see it come together, because when I first started it was very few options. It was basically the Grand Slams, Miss Universe Canada, Miss World Canada, and then some like gay pageants, I used to call them. So that's where I started.
Yeah, and that's where when I look at you, I don't even see you as someone who's like younger in like the pageant industry. I just see you as someone who has a lot of experience, who is so involved at such a young age that you've seen the expansion. And just for the girls who aren't from Canada, like we have a lot of US and international, is Miss All
Mhm.
Canadian, and I don't even know if I know. Is it online or in person? Like what's the style of it?
So that's an interesting question. I'm not sure as much of the format now. I believe it's gone more with virtual competitions, but they still host in person. I think the pandemic skewed it a little bit. But it originally was a pageant that ran, wasn't really title based. She would have a couple pageants a year out in Ontario, all around Ontario, and then some in Alberta, I believe. And yeah, they were just go compete for the day, bring a dress, whatever dress, and have fun, and then walk away. It wasn't really raining for the whole year, but just that experience. So there was a lot of like on stage speech components and evening gown, and then like talent and things like that. So it was just lots of fun, and you got to meet a bunch of people from all over.
Yeah, and that it's kind of
Mhm.
glitzy, and that's why a lot of women,
Yes,
I will say, start pageants, right? It's
yeah,
like the fun aspect, it's low stress, low commitment, and great, especially for younger girls if you're like in your, junior or princess era. But then
totally.
like if you look back through your social media, you've done very prestigious and well-known systems. When did you find you start to shift from like, okay, we're going to do like the fun glitz systems to like, we're going to compete for like some national and international titles? When did that happen and why did that happen too?
Great question. So I was around 14, 15 years old. I was really craving the experience of representing Canada. I wanted to have that full year reign, and to represent a brand, not just have, the fun crown and sash, which was fun when I was a kid, but I really felt like I was growing up and wanting to further this experience. So I searched high and low for opportunities in Canada, and I actually didn't find anything that I really resonated with financially or
Mhm.
time wise or just feeling connected to the brand. And so I started searching online for pageants that were maybe not in Canada, but were close by. I grew up in London, Ontario for most of my when I started my pageant career. So we were pretty close to the border in Michigan, and I was looking for opportunities there. And looking at that, I found Pure International Pageants, which is a system based in the US. And they have a really, really huge community of women in the Ohio, Michigan region. And they were hosting a pageant, and they had their first year of making the pageant international. It used to be called Pure American Pageants, and that first year was international pageants. And they were looking for Canadians to join their Michigan State pageant. And I just happened to stumble upon it on some Facebook post, and I was like, I feel like this is what was meant to be. It was their first year doing this. It's close by. It's exactly what I was looking for, and it had that international experience if I were to win the Canadian title. So I went to that U.S. state pageant in Michigan, and I felt like a fish out of water. I did not know what I was doing. I had my first, big girl dress, and I, you know, did interview for the first time, and all these really, really big moments that are now so pivotal in my life. But yeah, lots of fun. Went to that pageant, won that pageant, and went to internationals that following summer. And that is where I really found my love, especially for the US systems.
Mhm.
And I've pretty much stayed there a lot of the time. I've only ever competed in Canada once since then at Canada Galaxy Pageants in 2019. And then this upcoming year, I'll be coming back to compete in Canada again. Um, but I really just like the format of it. And yeah, that's what kind of brought me into it and made all these amazing connections with these hair and makeup artists, coaches, directors, pageant queens that have, years of experience in the US, and were able to help guide me a little bit. And so I'm still friends with all those people.
Yeah, for the first, I mean, even still now, like in my mind, I tell Liz all the time, I'm like, well, Liz is part American, like she's half American, but mainly because like I've only known her to compete in the US, even though like you're very clearly Canadian. We've had this conversation
Yes.
before, but that's like an ongoing joke that we have. But it's so true. And I feel like both of you have kind of, but both of us have kind of been like the Christopher Columbuses of like the Canadian pageant world, where we've
Yes.
been so immersed in the US systems that we come back to Canada and we're like, guys, like you don't even understand what they have over here. Like the resources, the people, the professionals, like
Right.
it's such a big deal. And we've both like done a lot to kind of pioneer and bring it into the Canadian atmosphere that we just don't have here, even though Ohio
Yeah.
is so close and it's not, you wouldn't think of it as like a big pageant state, but it actually kind of is with the different systems that they
Huge.
have there,
Yeah.
which is super lucky for us that it's, just a couple hour drive away. And so you've been internationally. I mean, what woman doesn't want to wear like her country's sash? I feel like it's kind of like when you're little, the biggest thing you think you're going to do is like go to the Olympics, even if you don't have an Olympic talent. But like this is like a woman's chance to represent her country. It's doing like the biggest thing, which you've had the chance to do a couple of times. And one in
Yeah.
particular, being at Galaxy International, which Canada has a pretty big Galaxy community here. What
Yes.
was that like? Because you were how old, like 16, 17 when you did that
I
pageant?
was 17 when I
Yeah.
won in Canada, and then was 18 when I went to internationals. And that was a actual crazy experience because it was the first year Cindy, the current director, was running the system. It used to be in Canada a while back, right, under a different title. It was the same title but different director. And so I had always had my eye on Galaxy because a lot of the friends that I met at Pure actually did Galaxy and were talking about it, and the experience at internationals. And it is one of the main US pageants that I really feel brings in international contestants.
Mhm.
Um, that come, from Australia, UK, Bahamas annually. And I was like, oh, this is a cool opportunity because that other systems that I've been to in the US, they're international, but the person from whatever country is actually from, Illinois or somewhere, which
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
fantastic and it's still cool to meet them. But it just feels different, and it also feels more welcoming, and like that you're actually being seen as an international contestant if there is actual international contestants there other than you. And so that really stood out to me. And so yeah, I went and competed at the national pageant in April of, I think, 2019 or 2018. And yeah, I was lucky enough to win that and was a part of the first annual inaugural Team Canada there. And that is a huge pivotal moment in my career. I met a lot of amazing friends that, still talk to this day and had a great experience. I also got a lot of experience by seeing the back end of pageants after competing at Galaxy International. I definitely helped out a lot at the Canada Galaxy National Pageant. Learned a lot from Cindy and from just the people there. And I think that's definitely helped me in my career with even just my hair and makeup business, as well as Canadian National Miss. Seeing all aspects and all ends of it because it all interests me. I'm always happy to help. I'm the first to volunteer to learn more because you never know what experience will lead you to the next big opportunity. And that's been a huge thing in my life for sure, especially in pageants.
Yeah, and I totally hear it. You've built a big community in
Mhm.
pageantry, and that's such a huge asset. Like, that's where I think you can have a very successful time and business and just like competition segment because the pageant industry is so niche. And then because it's like the people who are in it are just so passionate about it. Like, if you're willing to make the connections and volunteer and say yes and try new things and go to the
Mhm.
inaugural pageant and branch out, like you're willing to do all of these things, you just kind of become a magnet for people who are also on that same level and have those same passions. And no doubt that's why we've connected in like this
Mhm.
crazy Canadian pageant journey where we do have a lot of people, but the people who are really, really like die hard for it really do just come together. And I want to know
Yes.
because I hear Galaxy was amazing and it was 2019. I remember this because it was the year before COVID and I forget how that all came to my mind, but it did. And so 6 years later, amazing. You're coming back to the Canadian pageant world, which we'll talk about after. But
Yes.
what made you go from pageants to business? Because that's a huge thing that we're also focusing on with clients. Like we have some clients who are doing it while they're competing, some who have just won a title, some who've been out of pageants for 10 years and now they're coming back. They're like, "Hey, I want to start a business." Like what
Yeah.
what sparked, and it was makeup, right? Makeup and hair that you did. Like how did you make that jump? What did that look like?
So in the pandemic, everyone did lots of things in the pandemic, as we all know. I have always loved hair and makeup, more specifically makeup. I've always done my own for pageants and with my friends and all that. And I wanted to just be a makeup artist as a profession outside of pageantry, doing like more bridal or prom or things like that. And so since I had all that free time, I got my license virtually, which was actually a super interesting experience because we would bring in family members and other friends when it was safe to do so, like later on in the pandemic, work on their faces and submit assignments and talk to your teachers virtually. It was a very cool process. But I graduated that, finished that program, and while I was still in university for media and film at U Windsor, but I was just trying to gain as much experience as possible. And so when the opportunity came around that pageants were coming back and in-person events were happening, pageant related, I was like, this might be a great opportunity for me to practice my skills and to build maybe a client base and to build up my portfolio, things like that. Because I knew I had all these pageant girls that, we love a photo shoot, we love free makeup whenever we can. And yeah, I was lucky enough to have a lot of people be interested in that. From there, I realized, well, getting into the bridal market is really tricky. Why don't I start with reaching out to my pageant friends and working on pageant clients? I also saw a huge gap in the Canadian hair makeup space where we just didn't have those hair makeup teams that we see again you'll see this a lot, a common theme in the US. I would always have like 4 or 5 options of teams to book, and they were incredible, super talented, and knew the pageant styling. There's a huge difference between, what I was learning in the hair and makeup class for bridal opposed to pageant. So yeah, I basically went through that and did hair and makeup at my first competition here in Canada, which was at Canada United World, actually, the first year that they came back. First year that actually that ever happened. And I had so much fun. I taught a hair and makeup class and took on clients, and I realized I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this more than, just going and doing someone's prom makeup, because I got to be there for the whole weekend. I got to experience the pageant, which has been really huge. Been able to see a lot of systems that way. Get to talk to the contestants. You're talking to them at some of like the most vulnerable and like important moments of the competition, when they're just about to go on stage or they're just about to go into their interview, and you're trying to be that grounding person. And I was just like soaking up all of the experience and energy, and learning that everyone gets nervous at all times of the pageant. And it really helped me as a competitor as well, just being just always in that space. So I never stopped doing pageant makeup, and I actually never moved on into bridal or anything like that, because I just loved going to the competition so much. So yeah, it was a huge thing for me, and I expanded from Canada to going to the US and doing some hair and makeup at International United Miss, as well as the North America pageant system in Orlando. So yeah, it's a great way to just see things and get involved, whether you're, hair and makeup, judging, you're doing wardrobe, anything like that, wherever you can get yourself into a different space, meet new people, and do things that you're already passionate about, I think is a huge win-win.
And you still do you have any like systems booked for next year? Because you're competing now at Canada United World, which is actually probably
Yes.
one of the places that you and I first also connected, because I remember being at that pageant and watching your hair and makeup class. And then I also think I hired you for a hair and makeup class for one of the groups I ran, because I was like, oh my gosh, the Canadians, we've got it. We've got someone teaching pageant hair and makeup. We're going to be saved. We're going to be good. We got to bring it to the gals. But do you have any pageants on the books for next year? Or are you doing it more like when it comes up?
For me, it's when it comes up. I now live in Toronto, and my job is a little bit more time consuming than it was when I was in university. So it's
Mhm.
trickier, but I'm not stopping it. So when I can do it, I will. So I always have people in my DMs asking me if I'm available, and I always try to make it work. So yeah, here and there, if I'm definitely going somewhere, it will be posted. Though nothing's confirmed for 2026 though for me.
Yeah, we're adults now. We can't just
I
like pick up and go
know.
whenever we want. Like Liz and I did it. We did makeup together in Sudbury at one point, and it is so fun because you do
Yes.
kind of get like the behind the scenes feel where it's like low
Yeah,
pressure. You're not an outgoing queen. You're not a competitor. You get to like be with the clients. You get to be with the team and the staff. You get to still enjoy the experience, and it's just a really great, unique way to like crack it in the industry. And if you wanted to go much bigger with it, I'm sure that you could. But pageants are so far and few between in Canada that you really
yeah,
would have to go to like the States in order to do that, or branch out with something else like, weddings or proms or
right.
things like that. So it's a way that you could still be involved in it and kind of like dabble in it over the year when it does come up, right?
Totally. Yeah. There was definitely a time where I thought about making it more of my full-time position, but I do prefer it as more of a part-time, um collaborating with what I already do, but you definitely could absolutely make a full-time career out of it.
hmm
Your mind to
And
it.
and girl, like aside from that, like you've got something that takes up a lot of time now,
It's
because
true.
not only did Liz Marnoch say, I'm not just going to be a title holder, I'm not just going to be a competitor, I'm not just going to be a hair and makeup artist. Let's start our own national pageant. This is why I love this girl. And this is why I love hanging out with people like this that just have like these big ideas that you're ready to bring forward. Talk to us. I want to know like what was the moment you decided that you were going to run an in-person pageant, Canadian National Miss? Like, what did it look like? Was it in a brainstorm session? Was it in a journal? Did it come to you in a meditation? Like, how did this come to be?
It came to me out of frustration. I like to say it came to me out of frustration because I was looking for my next competition, and I am super picky with where I go. it's budget, it's time, it's
Mhm.
connecting with the system. It's connecting with the director too is really, really huge for me. And finding a space that I felt already connected to, that I can envision myself being the winner and as who I am right now. Of course, you have to put in the work, gotta do the time to prepare, but I just didn't feel like I was clicking in anywhere. And I was like, how is this possible? We have to be able to have a space. So I created Canadian National Miss because I wanted it to be a national level pageant that brought in women from all over the country. That was a prestigious title that didn't go to an international pageant. That they could just enjoy, they could win, and we can have travel experiences and have sisterhood and all those amazing things that we have in pageantry. I couldn't find a space that didn't go to that next level. And I find that is super fantastic. There's a lot of people that do want to go to internationals. I was one of those people. I still am one of those people.
Mhm.
But you want to sometimes have breathers or years of just really enjoying a reign. I find when you're win a national title and the next thing is right to internationals, it's tricky to enjoy it because you're thinking about the next competition. There's, more gowns to buy, more headshots to do, and not necessarily the stress, but the work ethic needs to
Mhm.
go up actually a lot more than what you did at nationals. And not everyone's always prepared for that. And I think it's nice to have an experience in Canada specifically that people can do the work, win the title, and enjoy. And that's what I really wanted to create. And so my prize package is all about traveling, having fun together. And we definitely have done that in the past several years of running the competition. It's been such a highlight of my life, brought in so many amazing people. And overall, I just wanted the pageant to be a fun environment. And I think I've been successful with that from hearing from my contestants. I'm super, privileged to be able to have, great reviews from the women who've competed at my system. And it's what keeps me going and what makes me want to expand it and make it even bigger and better. And, but yeah, that is what it was. I couldn't find something that I wanted, so I just created it.
I love it. It's like it came from nothing. Like it came from an idea that you
Yeah.
had. And I will say I have several clients who are competing this year who are excited about it and telling me that they're enrolling. I'm always looking at it. Every time I see you guys do one of your trips, I'm like, I could go on a trip this time next year on a cruise. So I always
Yeah.
tell Liz, I'm like, don't be surprised if one day you see my name like thrown into the ring. Okay. I'm not
I love
counting it
it.
out because I'm very much that way too. Like I've had the international reign. Like I've done the
Right.
international competitions. I've been around the world. Like it's not that I couldn't do it. It's not that I don't want to be challenged, but sometimes I'm like, I
Mhm.
just want to enjoy. And I really do feel like there's not that many options in Canada. If you kind of done one, like you might have another option, but that's pretty much it. And that's where I think it just
Yeah.
felt such a really cool need that you had. And even just like the name and like the brand about it. But people are like the girls love it. And it provides another option, another opportunity. I think some people, and we can talk about this next too, it's like there's sometimes a narrative, at least again, I don't always just want to say in Canada because I know it's everywhere. I know it's
Yes.
everywhere, no matter what state, no matter what province, country. But
Right.
there's this idea that like, oh my gosh, another pageant, like I'm not going to get as many delegates, or oh my gosh, another professional's coming up. And we almost have like this
Right.
lack or limiting mindset amongst the industry that feels
Yeah.
like there's not enough. Have you felt that? And what do you have to say to that?
I think I've definitely heard the narrative and I've definitely at times felt it. But in the same breath, I think it's so important that we just build up the community industry as one. The more people that are just in the community, the more success we will all have together. So whenever I see pageants having tons of contestants, fantastic. Love to see it because the nature of that is they might come to you the following year or the following year after that. You just want to keep people engaged and interested in pageants and making sure that everyone's having an enjoyable experience, whether they're a contestant or a sponsor or anything like that. We need to keep filling that cup. And that's why I'm so supportive of all the systems, Canada, US, all of it, because I just love seeing the growth. Because not only selfishly for myself, that I think will help my pageant later on, but it's just something that I've worked so hard in all different aspects of my businesses to help see the growth. And I'm glad that we're seeing it. We're also sometimes seeing decline. And so then to step it up and to innovate something new and to bring in a different kind of pitch to people. And that's something that we all have to like collaborate and work together as pageant professionals in the industry. So it's a tricky question because of the
Mhm.
competitive nature of just getting contestants, but it's also as a community we definitely need to work as one.
Yeah, and you've also had, I don't know if it's been like close to 40 or 50 delegates now come through your system that
Yeah.
might not have competed, right? Like maybe they weren't even thinking about another system. Like they just wanted something that only your system and your vibe and your price package and all of those things filled. And now that's 40 more women in the pageant circuit. That's how many
Exactly.
more sponsors, how many more businesses, how many more people's eyes and families on the pageant industry, bringing awareness to it, which does benefit all of us in some way.
Yes.
It's not just like there's only this number of people competing in pageants and that's it. And they like you have to get all of them as many as you can. No, like there's so much opportunity to bring more people in and more eyes and more interest in. And
Yeah.
obviously everyone's gonna start somewhere, but there are gonna be fluctuations. But the whole idea is like there's more than enough. Like we're not a tiny country by any means, but it's like we need more passionate people willing to see the space that isn't there yet and willing to say, let
Yes.
me try this, let's do it. And that's what you've done, I see.
Yes. That was the whole goal. And that's what I
Mhm.
keep doing and I'll keep doing forever because I just want to see it grow.
Yeah. What is your favorite part about I want to ask two parts of this. What's your favorite part about being a director so far? And then what has been like the biggest headache that you feel like other people should know about?
Okay, the best part is honestly just getting to experience and feel like you're a winner every year anyway. I get to go on
Mhm.
all the trips. I get to have the
Yeah.
pageant every year. I get to do all the fun social media. I get all the fun aspects of being a title holder without being a title holder.
Mhm.
And it's such a cool experience to see just the back end of everything and being able to connect with people in that way. The harder parts, I mean, it's a
Mhm.
lot. It's definitely as a director, um, you see things that maybe you didn't expect as a contestant and you would have never thought was something that was difficult. I definitely think, budget lines are tricky. I also find that it is hard to separate the pageant from the personal. I
Mhm.
find there's, people that will enter the pageant or say they're going to enter the pageant and then don't or drop out. And, things happen, life happens. You can't take it personally, but sometimes you do. And I think that's something that I'm trying to work on the most. And I've always been good at taking criticism. I've always been good at taking advice and suggestions. And I think that's what's helped grow the pageant and build it up to what it is today. But again, it's separating it from this is business and this is personal because it's all my own ideas, it's all my own creation. So it's hard when you hear critiques or people dropping out or not coming. Basically, things like that are a hard pill to swallow, but you eventually get over it and it becomes just normal.
Yeah, I will say like that. It's your heart that you're putting out
Yeah.
there, whether or not it's a business idea and it's not supposed to be personal. Like there
Yeah.
is a certain vulnerability to it where you're like, this is my creativity. This is coming from me. Nobody's telling me to do this. Nobody's saying I have to do this. And it's almost like whenever you're willing to be vulnerable, you're also putting yourself out there to be hurt. Like that's what
Yes.
vulnerability really is. And I will say like that's probably the biggest growth edge that I have is like I
Mhm.
do take it personally because I'm like, I love what I do. And I see so much opportunity for other people. And I'm so passionate about the industry that when others don't meet that or they say one thing and do another, of course it hurts. And like, I can try and act like, oh, yeah, no, like I just move on. No, like, of course it impacts me because like you want to grow with people and you want them to grow in the industry and see that. And also I feel like you and I are just those people that like we do the things we say we're gonna do. We're showing up for it. There's not been a year, I don't think, over how many 5, 6 years that I've known you, Liz, that we haven't competed or that we've
Yeah.
done something and then dropped out. Like we're always in it, and there's just not an option to not do that. And so I
Yeah.
definitely can relate to that we're humans on the other side. And it's so important to obviously be like taking care of yourself and having your support system and
Hmm.
focusing on, okay, if it's a no for this person, like there's gonna be other people who it's a full yes for that won't even like question it. And it's just like holding space for all of it so that you can keep the creativity and the fun in it going and that it doesn't end up draining you, right?
Yes. And the draining is a huge part. You have to take care of yourself, especially. when you're doing all the things that I do,
Hmm.
you have to balance it and make sure that you're prioritizing, or else it feels like it's going to crumble. And there's definitely been, I will not lie, there's definitely been times where it's been like, what am I doing? Why have I done this? Um, and it always ends up working out because you push through and you use the experience that you have. But yeah, it's not always as easy sailing as it looks.
Yeah, and you do have to be very disciplined. I always say I have so much
Yeah.
respect for directors. That's why I will never be one because I don't have that same like grit to run events. Like I'll do like a smaller like retreat or something like that, but I have so much
So
respect
hard.
for directors and like the events that you're putting on and the consistency and passion and the organization you have to have. And I mean, it always just amazes me. Like some directors I know have been doing this for decades. Like you've been doing this just for a couple of years and running a national system. Like there's so much responsibility in it. And that's why
Mhm.
I've always like looked up to you, Liz. Although like we're definitely friends, but I'm always like, this girl's
Yes.
like, I'm like, yeah, she's doing big things. She's reminding me that like try new things, take risks, put your ideas out there. And for the gals who are listening, because we have a lot of like dabbling business girlies or women who are
Mm.
saying that, especially going into 2026 or whatever year it is that you're listening to this, that they want to start doing something. They want to not just do pageants when they compete or reign, like they want to start something on the side. What would be your recommendation to them?
So my recommendation is really what my pageant platform is. It's called Passion into Profit, and I think all successful things start with passion. You have to enjoy the base of what you're doing for it to be successful. Um, Whether it was me, I just loved hair and makeup. I loved doing it on myself and my friends. So I created a business out of that because I just enjoyed that process. I didn't think I was going to become a millionaire from it. You could be if you worked really, really hard,
Mhm.
but that wasn't the purpose. I became a director because I loved the industry and I loved seeing the behind the scenes of different pageants and being a volunteer and being involved. And I wanted to create my own version of that. And that's why I keep doing it. If I had those burnout sessions that I have regularly when I'm working on CNM, it would have been dropped by now if I didn't have that baseline of passion. So you need to find out what you love, what makes you happy, what makes you tick, and then figure out how to integrate it and make it special and unique. Find a niche market, figure out a way to market yourself in a different way, and you will be successful if you keep pushing through. It's all about pushing through, though.
You do have to push through, right? Like no one's
Yep.
going to push you. No one's going to force you to do it. It's got
Yep.
to come from you and that passion within. And that's where a huge part of what I'll say is like so many women come to me and they're like, I have no idea where to start or what to do. But then they'll be like, well, I've been thinking about this for a while and I really like doing this. So I'm like, it's just doing the things that are already on your mind and heart and committing to them. Like that's so much of what I
100%.
do as a coach, right? I'm like, I don't
Mm-hmm.
give you the idea. I know you've got the idea. I know you've been thinking about it for months and years. I just help you stay accountable and committed to making that idea come to fruition.
Yeah. The first step is always the hardest. But
Yeah.
once you do it, you put it out there and you hold other people, make sure other people hold you accountable. That's when it becomes real. Because when you say that idea out loud and you say, I'm going to do this, people are expecting you to do it. And that's when things start to really happen and moves start to move. And
Yeah.
it's when the magic begins.
Yeah. And then you have international businesses and national pageants that you're running. And then you're just like, how did this
Yes.
happen? And it just does. But to kind of round this off, I want to just touch quickly on for the next year, where do you hope to see pageants, whether it be in Canada or internationally, evolve? Because obviously you've got your pageant running, you've got hair and makeup artistry. You're going to be a competitor. I have no doubt you're going to go to internationals, but like, where would you like to see the whole industry really evolve as a whole?
I think we need to move on from a cookie cutter lifestyle. I think I'm
Right?
seeing a lot of the same thing over and over again, the same routines, the same hair, the same wardrobe, and it's beautiful and it's fantastic, and I'm glad that people are mastering it. But I think we're ready in the industry to have some fresh ideas, new faces, and shake it up a little bit. That's what I'm trying to do with CNM as well, just providing different kind of opportunities and having different kind of title holders than what we have right now. People coming in super authentic and wanting to make a difference, not only with their platform, not only with themselves, but in the pageant industry as a whole. Because I think there's a lot of things we could change. We've got kind of stuck in our rut, I think.
That already makes me like, I get excited thinking about that, right? Where I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, there's like new ideas and like what else might come about. And when you think about, like, think about other big international events, whether it's something like the Met Gala and the annual themes, or, like World Cup is going to be next year, and they always have
right.
like a song of the year. Like, I'm always just like, I feel like we're so limited based on like we're trying to do it like the past and what works versus like what would be innovative and interesting and new. And that's what really people will be drawn to, whether or not you're just starting out or you've been
Yeah,
doing this for decades. It's like the people who dare to be different are going to be the ones who succeed. And I feel like that's where both you and I are like here to this day having this conversation, because we don't want to do this the same thing that we've seen done in the past, or the way that, the people who've come before us have done, which are great and it's paved a way, but it's like there's just different ways to go about doing things. It's not a one-stop shop. Okay, this is it. That's all it gets to be. There's got to be more
hmm
people willing to innovate and evolve
I
altogether.
think so. I think we've all reached the point of reaching a plateau of now we're all the exact same, and no one is kind of surpassing that level. And I want to see someone surpass that level so we can break through the glass ceiling and start doing some new fun things. I love what we're doing, but I think we can do more.
Yeah, just again, different things. Like pageantry is going to be here. It's here to stay.
Right.
But it's like, well, what does the next 10, 20 years get to look like? It's not going to be like what it is now, but who is going to be the one to pioneer new movements, new ways of doing things, new styles of competitions? I had a client of mine and we were talking about it, and she was trying to go to a different system. She very much so competes in like the systems that you and I know, like RIM, IUM, those styles.
Mhm.
And when I tell you, her and I sat through 5 pageants and we were on a Zoom call and we went through every single website, and every single one had the exact same score system. And the motto was so similar that I was like, girl, close your eyes, throw a dart and pick one, because that's pretty much what you're doing here. They're all the same. Like it's
Exactly.
no different. So if that doesn't tell y'all gals that there's room for newness to come through, there is. And there's going to be a whole sea of people behind you that are like craving that innovative idea. So even if you think like, oh, people haven't done this before, that's your check to go and be the first one.
hmm
Liz, I love this. I could talk to you forever. Liz and I have talked on, long car rides to Cincinnati together. We've missed flights together. We've done
Yep.
pageants and sponsorship. We've literally done like everything in between. And I feel like we're just getting started with all of the stuff. But thank you so much for being on. I'm going to leave all your handles of all the things that you do below,
Love.
from makeup artistry to Canadian National Miss for the gals who want to compete, to personally and watching you compete in the upcoming months at Canada United World. But any last
Mm.
thoughts or things that you want to share with our pageant gal community?
Well, thank you all for listening. I am the biggest pageant fan above all my titles. Pageant fan is my number one, and I'm so honored to be here with Maria and talk all things pageants. We definitely align on so many things like this. So, yeah, always feel free to reach out to me too if you have any questions or comments or any ideas that you want to share. I'm always open and willing to hear you out. So, yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Depending on when you're watching this, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, gals, because we're right
Yes.
on the 2026 cusp, and you have to watch and see what everybody does. But thank you, Liz, again. We love you. We'll be following you and cheering you on. And for everyone else, we'll see you in the next episode.
Awesome. Bye.